What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about a new release film that came out on Netflix, I believe just in the past week, and this is an animated movie, and I was reading a little bit about it online, and apparently Disney had the opportunity to pick this up after it was caught up in that whole mess when Blue Sky Studios was being bought out, throughout all the stuff with, I believe, 20th Century Fox, and a lot of these production companies that Disney has acquired recently, and this was one of the films that was kind of caught up in all of that mess, and Disney kind of turned away from it because of the overt LGBTQ themes that exist in this film, which I find kind of funny because Disney, kind of touting itself as a very progressive and forward-thinking company, won't accept a movie because they won't be able to show it in China, is pretty ridiculous to me. But I was still really excited to see this movie because of the fact that that representation exists in it, and a lot of the early reviews I were reading were heavily positive, and so I'm going to get into it today, and the film I'm going to be discussing is Nimona. Nimona is directed by Chloë Grace and Nick Bruno. A knight framed for a tragic crime teams with a scrappy, shape-shifting teen to prove his innocence. So, I didn't really know anything about this at all, hadn't even watched a trailer yet, and other than reading about this a little bit, knowing it was based off of a graphic novel, and that it had LGBTQ representation in it, I was really excited to watch it, and this was really good. I don't think it's as great as a lot of people are saying. I feel like a lot of that is coming from the excitement of having like these predominant LGBTQ themes, especially regarding the transgender experience, that are very overt in this film. I think people are very excited about that, and that was my favorite part of the movie, was that an animated film wasn't afraid to discuss these subject matters, even if it's in a little bit more of a nuanced way, especially for kids that watch it. They probably won't pick up on it as much as the adult audiences will, but it still lacks a little bit in its character writing and in the interactions that the characters have. The dialogue isn't always there, but I'll build on that a little bit more as I discuss the film as a whole. So at the beginning of the film, we're introduced to Ballastar Boldheart, played by Riz Ahmed, and he is this man that has been training to become a knight for the community that he lives in, and he will be the first knight that has come from like a poverty or a different family line, and that is because the queen wants to make this kingdom more accepting, incorporate more people into the knighthood. He gets picked on by a lot of other people in the knights, and he is in a relationship with Ambrosius Goldenloin, played by YouTuber Eugene Lee Yang. The two of them are prepping for this ceremony. They're getting ready for him to be knighted. He gets up on stage to be knighted by the queen, and something pops out of his sword that he's unaware of. It's like a little, almost like laser looking thing, shoots and kills the queen. Ambrosius ends up cutting off his arm, and he manages to escape and gets into the woods, and he is being accused of killing the queen. Well, a short time later, a knock comes to the door, and he is introduced to Nimona, played by Chloë Grace Moretz, who is a shapeshifter. She has the ability to turn into any animal or creature or person that she wants to, and she wants to be his sidekick. And the movie is the two of them going on adventures together while Ballastar is trying to clear his name. And the movie examines both of their characters a little bit, gets into, you know, the struggle of Ballastar's knighthood and trying to get in there with coming from a different family background and believing that he was set up. Nimona dealing with the struggle of being called a monster and being treated differently because of her powers. And that's the extent of the film. Like I said, I really enjoyed this for the most part. There are a lot of really charming and funny moments. I think all the voice acting in this is really great, especially from Riz Ahmed and Chloë Grace Moretz. Both of them are very dedicated to this material. They do a really good job bringing these characters to life. I really loved the animation style in this film. I thought it was very different than what we've been seeing from like a Disney recently, where it feels like they're churning out the same type of animation style to where it gets very stagnant after a while, to just see the same thing over and over again. It was really refreshing to watch a movie that had a very unique visual approach. And what was cool about this world is that they're knights, so they're still carrying swords and stuff, but there's like flying cars and these crazy skyscraper buildings. It's almost like a cyberpunk world mixed in with like a world of knights and kings and queens, which I thought was a really interesting mix. That's not something that I've seen before, and so I thought that was a really cool kind of overlap in those two ideas. The problem I have with this movie is that a lot of the dialogue really isn't great, and a lot of it feels like it's just filling time, which is unfortunate because I do think these characters are really charming, and I think that Riz Ahmed and Chloë Moretz especially, have a really great chemistry in the film. But there were so many scenes that I was watching the movie that I was just like, okay, there could be so much more here. There could be so much to create really memorable characters that make you want more sequels to this, or make you want to continue to be in this world. And there were so many moments that kind of just pulled me out of it, where I felt like the writing could have been so much stronger. But the things that really did work for me were the representation elements, obviously, with Nimona's character being a shapeshifter, being able to turn into these things. There's a lot of questions from Riz Ahmed's character that, if you're watching the film, seem very similar to a lot of the questions that transgender people are asked on a regular basis, to where Nimona's character gets really frustrated about it, gets really upset by it, I can't remember her exact terminology, but essentially says like it's normie way of thinking or something. And you could tell her character is incredibly burdened by being this quote-unquote monster because she has these powers, to the point where at times it's made her want to take her own life. And this whole idea of living in this society that's very like, everything looks bleach white in their kingdom, and everyone is wearing very holy looking clothing, and it seems very overtly poking at the conservative religious culture that we live in. And there's a lot of moments that really resonated, where it's like, okay, a lot of people are going through this right now. And I thought that was really cool because, obviously, like I said, it's on the nose. If you're an adult and you watch this movie, you're going to get it right away. It's not like it's going to go over your head. You're going to understand 100% what the film is going for. But for a kid who's watching this movie, they're going to probably ask a lot of questions about it, and you know, think about, oh, why is this character being treated differently? They're just like a free spirit who wants to be themselves. And I think that is so important in this culture to teach kids, is that people are different. People come from different backgrounds. People look different ways. People act different ways. And people should be allowed to live their lives however they want. And I think movies like this that are really approaching that subject of teaching kids like, hey, it's okay to be who you are, and it's okay to love yourself for who you are, even if people think you're different. And I think this movie handles it in a way that balances it really well. It doesn't feel sloppy or lazy. It just felt really well executed. I just wish that some of the dialogue moments and the character interactions made me fall in love with this world more. I wanted to adore this movie, and I ended up just liking it. I feel like it's probably something I'm not going to remember a whole lot in a few months, which is really unfortunate, because I felt the potential here. And if they make another movie in this universe, I would 100% watch it, because I found it to be very entertaining, very enjoyable. And if you have a Netflix subscription, this is one of the better Netflix originals I've watched recently, even if I don't think it's perfect. So have you seen Nimona? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was really enjoyable. Despite it not being perfect and me feeling like it could be cleaned up a little bit, I still really enjoyed it overall and thought the message of the film was really great. As always, if you like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.